list and told some people they were uninvited and some people that they were invited to eat dinner with me. I'm sure these people, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, would be honored to have dinner with someone such as myself. But now we are going to organize this list. So instead of, we're not really going to worry about printing things out right now. Well, printing the guest list out. We're going to talk about sorting this list. So one way you can, oh, they're already in alphabetical order. Well, that's not good. Let's just let's just add some others in the front. We're going to put in, let's say, I don't know, John Legend. Why not? Some random celebrities in here. John Legend, Big Bird from Sesame Street. Let's just put these for now. Okay. So one way you can actually get your list to be sorted automatically, since if let's say you have a lot of people put in usernames and you want to put them in alphabetical order, you can put guest list underscore or dot sort. And what this does is it'll automatically put your list in alphabetical order. Thing is, this automatically changes the list permanently to where it's always in alphabetical order. So if you want to modify your list permanently, you can do it this way. There are ways to sort it without doing it permanently, but right now we're just focusing on permanent. And another thing you can do is, let's say we want to print it, but this time we want it in reverse alphabetical order. You can do dot sort and then type reverse equals, you have to put a space? No, you don't have to, equal true. And you want to make sure that that true here is capitalized, because if it's not, you're not going to get the correct function. So you want to put it reverse equal true capitalized, and when we print the guest list now, you can see that it's in reverse alphabetical order. So let's say we want to print it out, but this time we don't want to sort it permanently. We just want it to be sorted temporarily. So when you can go into print, and instead of doing dot sorted, you can print, and then you want here, type sorted, and then you can put in here inside of this little parentheses, you can put what you want sorted. So sorted will be your function, and then you can tell it what you want sorted. So we're going to sort this guest list. When we hit it, it'll automatically print it in alphabetical order. But if you come down here and print guest list, it'll be in your original order. So that way you can print things without changing your list completely. So pretty simple on how you can change throughout these. So if we want to say here is the list in alphabetical, if I can spell, alphabetical order, put a space here, print. We want to say here is our original list. Let's see, yeah, there we go. We don't want to. So whenever you print, if you've got the string, you're going to have to come down to another line, and then you can print guest list dot sorted. And here you can put your guest list. So we didn't put our original list. We'll go ahead and do that. So print the original guest list. So here's our original list, and then here is the sorted list. And then finally, we can just put, here is the original list again. And we can see we've got our original list with the characters, the list in alphabetical order with the sorted function, and then the original list again. So you can see that it's not actually changed. Same thing goes with reverse order. We can do, let's see, I don't see a way, a function on how to print it without originally changing it all. Yeah, it says you can reverse the reverse function by doing it again, but that's the only way to reverse a list. So sometimes you might need the length of the list. So to do that, you can use the len command, and this will basically find the length of that list. So if we print and we put len, and then we just put inside of here what we want to find the length of. So we put guest list here. You can see our guest list is 5 people long. So we got John Legend, Big Bird, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. And although it prints out 5, we still have to remember that the positions are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because the lists start at 0. And everything's going to start at 0 when it comes to computers, for the most part. And that is actually the end of chapter 3. So we've printed out our list, we've rearranged it using the sort function, we've moved it with the reverse, and we've also used the sorted function. So I'm going to make another, actually I'll just continue on to chapter 4. And we're going to talk a little bit about loops. So we'll go for another 10 minutes or so. So we've got our list, and now we want to put, let's say we want to print out all of our guests in that list. So we're going to say for guests. So this is a variable within your guest list. So this is creating a new variable for guest in guest list. And whenever you put for, you have to put a colon at the end. So this is just going to say for guest in guest list, we want to print guest. So this is going to print out all of our guests, and every single thing is in this list is going to create a new it's going to create the variable guest, it's going to print it, then it's going to move on to the next one. It's going to print that, it's going to move on to the next, and next, and next. So that's how the for loop works. And you can do this for pretty much anything. Let's say we want to print out a message for all of our guests. For guest, we're going to use the format. So, welcome to dinner, and then you put the curly brackets, and once you have the curly brackets, you put the variable you want to use in those curly brackets. So it's going to say, welcome to dinner, John Legend. Welcome to if I could speak, Big Bird. Welcome to dinner, Bill Gates, for example. It's just going to keep going down that list, and the way you do that is you have format. You want to put the curly brackets to say, hey, we're going to input a variable, and then you put the name of that variable inside, and it's going to input that variable inside of that place. I'm just looking through here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Basically, it just keeps going through doing something after. Oh, okay. So I'm going to show you what happens if we print thanks for coming. We're still under this for loop. So every single time we print a guest, it's going to say thanks for coming directly under it. But let's say we don't want to do that. Let's say we only wanted to print one time. So to do that, the for loops actually require 4 spaces, and I've used tab to do that. So this creates 4 spaces automatically, and if you put a colon and then you hit enter, it'll automatically put that 4 spaces and put your print down here. So to change that, I'm going to make some space so that way we can see this block right here is within the for loop, and this is outside the for loop, and it's just cleaner to put a space in between it. So I put a space here, I put the print outside of the for loop, so whenever we run it, you're going to see welcome to dinner, all of these people, and then thanks for coming only at the end. And if you try to, let's say we do a for loop and we try to print, you see we're going to get an error. And it's going to tell you where it is. It's on line 4. It's going to say, hey, we have an indentation error. It's expecting an indented block because you have a for loop directed in front of it. So to get rid of that error, you would hit tab, and then our error goes away. So that's just something you want to do, so that way you're not having errors in your code. You want to make sure it's all following the guidelines of after the colon, 4 spaces. To get out of the for loop, put a space. This isn't really necessary. If I was to do this, still going to print out the same, but if I'm reading this code, it's going to be confusing for someone, especially if you have a lot of code going on. It's just going to get in the way and look messy. So it's nice to have your for loops and things like that just grouped up together, and then a space in between them so people can read it more clearly. And the same thing will happen. Let's see what happens if you put this here. So you can see it gives you that thanks for coming, because compilers really don't care about this empty space here. This is really just for us to see things more clearly. So you want to make sure that your print function is outside of your loop, or else it's going to get the thanks for coming message every single time. And this applies to pretty much any for loop. We'll go ahead and look what happens if you forget the colon. So if you forget a colon, you're going to get an error. It's just going to say invalid syntax, and it's going to tell you exactly where. So you're getting line 3. So it's just telling you at the very end, this little caret right here, saying, hey, there's some syntax missing right here. So if you jump on here, put the colon, you're good to go. All right. So now we're going to take a little bit more of a look at for loops, and we're going to, actually I'm going to create a new file for this, so I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call this one range.py. So this is actually be using the range function. So if you wanted to create a variable, or if you wanted to make a list of numbers, you could type for and then put value, or whatever you want to type. You put number, value, whatever. So I'm just going to put number. For number in range. So range is another function. So if we put 1 to 5, and then we print this number, it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's because the range starts at 1, and since it ends at 5, it's not going to do anything for that 5. So if you want to actually print something for 1 to 5, you would have to do in range 1 to 6, and then hit it, and it would print 1 through 5. So that's how you would make that. You could actually also create ranges, use ranges to make a list. So we're going to get out of our for loop, and we're going to put numbers, and we're going to call it a list. And within this list, we're going to put range, and then we're going to put the range of the numbers that we want to make a list of. So we're going to put 1 through 6, and then we're going to print that list, numbers. And you see here, we've automatically created this list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how you can create multiple items all at once without having to type out every single one, and then it automatically saves them to a list for you. So you can also do this to print out even numbers. So let's see here. If you use numbers, again, we're going to change our list, and we type list, and you give it a range. So let's say we give a range of 1, we'll go 1 to 11. But this time we're going to count by 2. So this last number is telling you how many numbers you want to increment throughout your list. So the first one is the range of the numbers you want to go by, and then the last number is the number you want to increment from. So if we print odd numbers now, you can see we get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If we change this from 2 to 11, we would get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because it's just increasing for every 2 numbers. So this is how you could print out odd or even numbers in a list. Another thing you can do is you can run some simple math. So let's say we're going to create a list called squares. So we're going to make the squares of each number, which is a number to the second power. So squares equals, and then you would type for value in range. It doesn't have to be value. You can type whatever you want there. And then you would put your range. So we'll say 1 to 11. And we're creating for loop. So whenever I hit enter, it automatically indents. You can say that square or another variable, whatever you want, equals, sorry about that, equals value, which is our previous variable, times 2. Or exponent. So sorry, if you were just to do value with 1 star, that would multiply everything by 2. But since we're doing 2 stars, it uses an exponent. So it's telling you, okay, we're going to square every single value. And then you would put squares dot append. And then, because we're creating a new list, right, we're going to append the list of squares up here. So we're going to add every single one of these values. And we're going to square. So we're taking the variable square and we're putting it into our list. And every single time we run through this for loop from ranges 1 to 11, we're going to add that square into our squares list. So if we come down here and we print squares, which is our list, go ahead and run that. You can see we get 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. 2 to the second is, 1 to the second is 1, 2 to the second is 4, 3 to the second is 9, 4 to the second is 16, and so forth. And it goes all the way up to 10. So it prints out everything to 100. And I think that's all I want to cover in this video. We've been going on for about 15 minutes. So the next chapter, we'll continue in chapter 4. And we're going to be going through some simple statistics and things like that in lists, copying lists, and then only working with a portion of the list. So we've got a few more pages in chapter 4 until we hit chapter 5 where we reach if statements. So thanks for watching and hope you watch the next one.